Oh, but we don't want.
I think we got to go back one slide. Would you like me to start?
Yes, go ahead. I'm
Okay.
we're going to be muted so that you don't. Yeah, you're just going to have to run with it. We'll chime in if we need to. Thank you.
Just tell you next when I'm ready for the next thing.
Yeah, just say next, and I'll pop to the next slide.
Okay. Well, good evening, everyone, and thank you for the opportunity here. My name is Mitch Harrison, and I own and operate Junk Masters. We're in Eden Prairie. Go ahead and hit next. And just a little bit about us. Our mission statement here is to improve the Twin Cities waste management system in a way that promotes local economic growth, social development, and environmental protection. And yes, that is a picture of me. Go ahead and hit next. And our vision is to build more resource efficient communities in which all recyclable waste is diverted from landfills. We do this by working with local recycling companies, disposal facilities, and local nonprofit organizations. Next. This is a recent picture of some of our team members, not all of them. So we have 15 total, there's about 10 there. Next. And you hit next again. The big question is, what do we do? Hit next again. We remove all of your unwanted junk and a whole lot more. There. We are a full-service junk removal company. We are 100% locally owned, founded right here in Minnesota. We are not a franchise. And we will remove just about anything from your property. Go ahead and hit next. We got a list here, so go ahead. So we remove appliances, furniture, electronics, demolition debris, hot tubs, mattresses, box springs, yard waste, boats, trailers, plus many more. We do not remove hazardous waste, and when you hit next, you'll see why. Unfortunately, we had a client hide some hazardous waste in a load we took that we were unaware of, and evidently it caught fire and destroyed one of our dumpsters. And we do not rent these on site, so they're something that we are bringing to and from job sites with us. So the following are some examples of different clients that use our services on a regular basis. We've got, go ahead and hit next. We work for estate sale companies, restaurants, apartment building managers, property managers, commercial businesses, general contractors, professional organizers, realtors, schools. We do work with some county social workers, and then of course the general public. And I'm sure there's some in there that I forgot to mention. So good question we get a lot is, what's the investment for our service when it comes to cleaning up for people who hoard? So before a large cleanup can be done, we always do an on-site visit before any work can be performed. At this point, we can determine what needs to be done to complete the job in a timely manner. How large is the job? What type of materials do we need to bring? Team members. You can keep hitting next there. How many trucks are we going to need? What kind of PPE? Do we need lighting? Do we need generators? Is there power? We do have a generator we can bring out to provide power. We've used that multiple times on different jobs. And then lastly, as far as investment is concerned, pricing for large scale jobs, it can depend very drastically on the type of equipment, how much labor is involved, and a general rule of thumb is any large scale clean out for a situation where people hoard will be several $1,000s. We always do provide an estimate before any work begins. And go ahead and hit next. We're going to get into some of the larger jobs quick, and then I'll go back on some other stuff we do after this. So the hoarding cleanup jobs are always done in a professional manner with the utmost respect for the client. We do understand the difficult situation and can work with any agency that is involved. I do have a photo here of a very interesting one we did. You generally don't see them like that. We've never seen anything like this before, but it was quite interesting. We had to cut a hole through a floor in order to excavate the material from the basement. However, we do have experience and equipment and knowledge and know-how to remove items from homes by whatever means are necessary. And like always, if any items can be reused and are in acceptable condition, we would donate them. And then after this, go ahead and hit next a few times there. One thing we've seen a lot is post-fire, and there's been some situations from people who hoard where there's been fires. It's a challenging process. Most items are damaged with smoke or water or charred up. There's a recent kitchen fire cleanup that we did, and a before and after picture. And we're not allowed to really go in and do any work until the insurance company, investigators, fire department, until the building's been secure. There's no open power lines or power's been shut off and water's been disconnected and gas lines are shut off. We just want to make sure it's completely safe for our team before we can go in and perform our duties. And then if you hit next again, there was a recent garage fire. It was not a horrid situation, but kind of a before and after of the mess that was in there. Just a bunch of debris, sheetrock, all charred, smoke damage. We removed all that. And just some after photos there. And then going back to kind of our basic services here. So part of what we do is, removing everything from homes. We do have, our recycling service. We are registered with MPCA as a collector for electronics, and some electronics we might remove could be, a CRT TV, the old tube TVs, DVD players, your grandmother's old TV console from the 50s or earlier, flat screen TVs. I will say some flat screen TVs can still be donated depending on their condition. Generally, if they come across our hands, they've seen their end of life. Computers, consumer electronics, cell phones, tablets, etc. Hit next again. We had appliances, freezers, refrigerators, AC units, dehumidifiers. We do quite a few commercial appliances from businesses, restaurants, and whatnot. And then we'll hit next again. We also do take tires, lead acid batteries, scrap metal, and of course mattress and box springs are something we do recycle. Next. And one of the biggest things that we're kind of known for is our partnership with Bridging. Go ahead and hit next a few times here. And we do a donation pickup service. Now, every job we do, we're always looking for items that can be donated and reused. We've partnered with Bridging to help them fulfill their mission to furnish homes with hope. And of course, this is a fee-based service, so we're sending our truck teams out there. They're going to be going through the house. Anything that they can find that can be brought to Bridging to get a second life, we would do that. We will drop those items off, and as long as they're accepted by Bridging, we would send you or your client the tax deductible receipt from Bridging. I will admit we've forgotten at times, and we get a phone call, and we can certainly get those out in a timely fashion. One thing we never do is we will never, ever, ever, and I promise this to everybody, we'll never resell your items for additional profit. There are companies that do that. I'm not going to name any names. It's a very common thing within the Twin Cities. So one thing with our company is you're going to get a guarantee that that will not happen. They're going to go to a good home, and if they are not, able to be reused anymore, that we would dispose of them properly. Go ahead and hit next. Couple more time here. So some other services we offer, we just recently got into some demolition services. Some examples of what we've done, or what we would do. We remove decks, complete deck tear off, then remove all the river rock underneath the deck. We remove all the footings. And got another second story deck there we worked on earlier this year. It was a remodel job for a contractor. Hit next again a few times. We got concrete tear out of some steps, front yard. We do a lot of kitchen demolitions, bathrooms, playhouses, sheds, and then fences, of course. There's, quite a few other things that I haven't mentioned here that we do. The big question we get is, where does all the junk that we collect go? And that's a great question, because we take it, and where does it go next? So after our teams collects or picks up the items, they can go to multiple different locations. If it's deemed junk or trash, it would go to a disposal facility. We utilize the Hennepin County Energy Recovery Center, which is kind of called HERC, in which they incinerate trash to make power. There's also, and you got to start over, trash from, or items for trash from Hennepin County would go there. Ramsey and Washington County have to go to a different facility in Newport, which they process waste and then get transferred off into an incinerator at an off-site location, from what I understand. And then other waste from counties in the Twin Cities would go to DEMCON down in Shakopee, where there's a transfer station, and it would either be transferred to an incinerator or landfill. And there's a number of other disposal facilities for trash throughout the cities. We primarily try to utilize, I'd say 99% of the time, maybe closer to 90, a facility that would convert the waste into energy, so waste to energy facility. And construction debris, if you hit next one more time, there's another bullet there. Construction debris is disposed of in a transfer station and or landfill. If there is any good construction debris, which it's tough to come by, we have dropped items off at Habitat for Humanity to be reused. We do have a few items in our warehouse right now that need to go there. We're just waiting for a few more to pile up before we make a trek over there. And then that's all I have. If you hit next, there's so many things that we do and can do for our clients. I always tell clients, for a full list of the services we offer, feel free to visit our website. It's junkmasters with an S, MN.com. And, there's, like I say, we are set apart from our competition because, what's that? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought somebody was asking something. We're set apart from our competition. The reason I say that is we're getting into, demolition stuff. We're pulling out basketball hoops that are concrete in the ground. We do lots of hot tub removals, which, a lot of companies do that, but we do a fairly large amount of those, removing the decks. I forgot to add it into a slideshow. We recently removed a roof from a house for a contractor. They were remodeling. They wanted to change the way the roof was done, so we went out and removed all the roofing structure from a house in Minnetonka. So it's quite a wide range of different services we offer, and the best thing, if it's something out of the ordinary, that you say, give us a call, and we'd be glad to discuss the project with you. And when it comes to helping people who hoard and cleaning up these situations, we do have a lot of experience with it. Just recently this week, we've done 3 large cleanouts, and it's a very time-consuming process, but we get them done as efficiently and quickly as possible to create the least amount of disturbance to the neighborhood and neighbors and whatnot. So I guess that's all I have for at this point. Does anybody have any questions for me?
Thank you, Mitch. We're unmuted
Okay,
here.
cool. I have a question. What can somebody who hoards do to help you make the process cheaper, smoother, less stressful?
That's a great question.
And what can the team that's supporting them help them do?
Yeah, I would say the biggest thing is know exactly what we're coming there to do. What are we going to be taking away? We run into that quite often where we get to a situation, I shouldn't say quite often, every so often, we get to a client's house and they're not working with someone, and we walk in and find out it is a situation where they hoard, and they just don't know what needs to go, and they ask for our help, and it's just something we're not trained to do. So what we do is we would end up referring them to an organization or to someone and say, I think the best thing that you can do to help you in this situation is call and get help here. But knowing what needs to go, maybe even boxing up some items, packaging some stuff up. I wouldn't say package, but even if it's in, you don't need to get down and get dirty and start collecting stuff, but know what needs to go. And we don't like, it's more difficult when they're there or you're there, and as we're taking stuff, oh, we need to look in this box. We need to look in this box. We need to look in this box. That makes it very long, time consuming, and evidently it's going to cost more money because we're going to be there longer. Labor, we at some point would charge an additional labor fee, and that can be a significant cost.
What about microwaves? Is that
We take
considered
those.
hazmat?
No, it's not. This would be just a standard recycling. Yeah.
So when you go there, how do your workers kind of know how to separate out what would go to recycling and what is truly trash? I mean, how do you do that?
Correct. Yes. So as they're going through, for example, excuse me, generally we would start in one room. I'll use a job from today, for example. We'll start in one room, and maybe 2 people will start in one room and 2 people will start in another room. And they just go through the room, and at this job, everything was trash. It was a situation where it was damage from smoking in the house, not from a fire. So a lot of that, all the furniture, it's nothing that can be really donated. It had discoloration and stains and everything. So they'd go through the house. We would empty drawers and cabinets if we had to, and we would empty those in trash bags. And then if they find, something can be recycled, microwaves, like for the kitchen, for example, there may have been a few items in the kitchen that were deemed to be donated. I can't recall for sure. I wasn't on site. But let's just use an example. Dishes. Go box those up, set those aside. Everything that will be recycled will be set aside. Last load of the day or last load of the job, the teams would take out all the recyclable items. We're talking dishwashers, washer, dryer, appliances, refrigerators, TVs, the mattresses and box springs that have to be recycled, AC units. We would take all those out at the end. So we would kind of sort them as we're going through the job and set them off in a separate location. I will add, we do not disconnect ranges, gas ranges. That was an issue we had today where they were connected to a gas line. We just don't want the liability of, hey, you disconnected the gas line and now the house is full of gas and it just, exploded. So that's one thing we will not do. So.
Anybody online or want to ask any question?
Yeah, Mitch, in the beginning of your presentation, you you had kind of a list of different people who you've worked for, and I noticed that you said some, some or once in a while, or here and there a county social worker. In that case, was that something where you were hired through the county and paid through the county versus the client, or?
Yes, the two I'm thinking of were hired through the county. And I want to say it was over in Ramsey County, but I don't remember the details. It wasn't recent, but I do know that they did pay us
Okay.
that way. And I know there was a kind of an allocation of money, so we had to, kind of, and we're willing to work. I know sometimes, there's issues where there's only so much money set aside, and we need to, make this place livable and habitable for the client. What can we do? This is how much we have. What can we do to make this work? And we come up with a plan and execute it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was kind of another question I had, is if you don't, if there are times where you don't do like a full clean out, but maybe you get to a level of safety.
Correct.
And I would imagine in that situation, it would be extremely helpful if people knew what stayed and what went at that point.
Yes, correct. And a lot of times it's best that the client is not on site, or if they're, and I'm sure you understand. We've had situations where they've been on site, and it can be very difficult. And I'd say most of the time the client is not on site. The representative, family member, social worker would be there and say, here's what we're doing, just to make things easier.
And if they were on site, would you recommend or say it might be helpful if they had someone there to support them during this process?
Absolutely, I would highly recommend that. Yes. Unless of course they can handle it, themselves, which some people have been very good at it, and but there's just certain situations where it's best to have some support staff there.
Any other questions? Well, thank you, Mitch.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to
Yes.
stop the recording now.
Any other